and welcome to another edition of Prescott Talks on Prescott News. I'm your host today, David McNabb, and got a special guest today, and she's running for Prescott Unified School District Governing Board. Her name is Linda Conn. And Linda, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, David.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself to start off with?
Well, I am a retired educator. I taught for 25 years, and I was a school counselor during that time.
All right.
And that was my second career. I was also in law enforcement, public safety, for 18 years before that.
Wow. You've done some good things.
Thank you.
Yes. And how long have you been in the Prescott?
I retired from teaching in California, and I moved to Prescott in August of 2019, right before COVID.
Good. Okay. Well, a lot of good people have escaped California to come here, and we love those folks, including you. So I'm glad you made it over here to Sanity Land. And so tell us, you're going to be running for the 2-year position at Prescott Unified School Board, the governing board there. Tell us why there's a 2-year position.
Well, school boards like ours are staggered terms so that everyone doesn't come up for election at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you always have some people who have been there for a while and others that are new to the board. And so Sarah Vincent, my opponent, had been appointed last year, and that position had been vacated by someone who moved out of the area. You have to live within the city where you want to work or, volunteer. Yeah. And so we all applied for that position, and that was an appointment by the superintendent, the county superintendent. And he chose her, so her term, she had to be back up for re-election at the next regular election. So she is now running, and I have decided I wanted to run with her, or against her, I guess, is what I'm doing. So
the normal term for a school board in the district is 4 years.
4 years,
Four-year terms. Mm-hmm. So Sarah Vincent was appointed by Tim Carter, the county superintendent, and she served 2 years.
Well, no, she's only served 1 year of that leftover
1
term.
Year of what she was filling in for. So now there's a 2-year to fill.
Yes.
And you and Sarah are vying for that position. Now, this is not a paid position.
No, it's volunteer.
Okay, so that's how we know you're the real deal, first of all. Okay, because you're giving out of your own concern, your own heart. Nothing's really going to come back to you.
No,
not
at all.
No monetary gain here.
No.
All right. So.
But if I can add, it's the reason I'm doing it. I don't need to be paid. I have 2 pensions from both of my retirements, and I get a little bit of Social Security. So I don't need the money. I could go back as a regular teacher, classroom teacher, and teach and make up to $40,000 a year before it affects my pension. But I don't need all that.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, real good. So what made you want to run for the board?
It's an interesting story because I was supporting all of our local businesses, our family-owned businesses, and I saw in the Courier a newspaper article about a family-owned dairy in Chino Valley. And I thought, I'm going to go out there and buy some of their dairy products, So I'd made my way out, and there was a young lady behind the counter, and I bought a gallon of milk and some veggies and gave her, my bill came to, I memorized this now, $8.76. So I gave her a $10 bill and a penny. And she looked at me like a deer in the headlights. She had no idea how to make change. And so I did you take teachable moments And I showed her why I gave her the penny and then what she needed to do to make the change from the $10 bill. And she trusted me. And I thought, that's a third grade math skill. And this girl must be in high school at least.
Wow.
And she couldn't do it. And I thought, maybe I need to substitute. You know, maybe I need to help. And I started doing research, and I found that our schools are really in trouble. We're at a crisis. Then COVID hit, and we were locked down, and we lost 2 years there. So our kids are not just 2 years behind. We are in crisis mode for these generations of kids.
Yeah.
They're just going to flounder if somebody with expertise doesn't help them.
That's right. I'm so glad to hear that you care about them, because we need more people that care about them and will step forward and do something about it. You're right. There needs to be more education. You know, we focus so much on higher math, which hardly anybody uses. We totally forget about it in high school, and even in middle school. We kind of forget about lower math. Don't reinforce those skills. So then they're in high school and they've forgotten how to do some of this lower math that they need to know to function in everyday life.
Well, and I blame it a lot on Common Core standards. They actually came in 2010, and they were signed into law. And I had to teach during that time. And I saw the difference because I taught all the way through No Child Left Behind, and saw how that grouped kids according to some criteria that no one knew. Then when Common Core came in, it just blew that out of the water, and they taught it as if one child could learn the same as every child. It's one size fits all.
Okay.
That doesn't work in education at all.
No. And is Common Core still in effect in the schools today?
Unfortunately, it is.
What's that approach?
Well, it's the one size fits all. You come in at the beginning of the school year and you benchmark all the children and you group them all into their little groups of ability level. And then you teach as though that whole group is one child. So kids can't seem to excel through that. They can't seem to, a lot of them just flounder. And that's the result of a lot of our statistics that the schools have to report to the government, to the state of Arizona. And that's where I get my statistics from, the Arizona report card. And that's Department of Ed. I'd like to see us get rid of Common Core standards and go back to basics education. Definitely get rid of Common Core math. I'd like to see Singapore math come in. It's a far superior method. And I think that we have so many great programs out there that we need to weed out all this other junk that has been brought in and is totally confusing the kids. They think it's a great joke because they can do anything they want. They can stall as much as they want. They don't have to work hard. And with 25 years of handling other people's children, I know what true children try to get away with, away from their parents, away from everybody else. And God love them. They're the sweetest things. And they're like my family, but they need to learn.
Yes. Now, you were teaching elementary school kids?
My credential allowed me to teach kindergarten through 12th grade in a self-contained classroom. I focused on elementary school. So I've taught everything from kindergarten to 6th grade. And then I got my school counseling credential, and I did all that work in middle school. So I have not taught in high school. I decided to retire because it was so frustrating teaching through the standards that they were requiring. And I had the 25 years in. Okay.
As some of the viewers won't know exactly what a counselor does. Can you explain that quickly?
Well, my credential is, they used to be called guidance counselors. And in high school, you would go to your guidance counselor and they would help you to focus on your career and what you wanted to do after school. So that's how we were trained. And if you had an emotional problem, if you were being disciplined, the counselor was maybe your advocate. You could call them in and say, hey, let me help you out here. We had a psychologist for the IEPs and the special education children, but for regular education, they didn't have anything like that. They didn't need anything in school, really. If you really focus on academics and give the child that self-esteem they get through being able to make decisions and problem solve, they have enough to get them through. It's not what's going on in schools today. That's something foreign that I don't understand.
Absolutely, me neither. So just tell us what else is on your platform that you're campaigning on that you haven't talked about yet?
Well, I do, because of my background in law enforcement, I was a 911 dispatcher. I was the jailer. At other times during that 18 years, I was court liaison. Mm-hmm. I did all of this work in the inner city of Long Beach, California. I kind of say the story, and I don't know that anyone makes a connection here, but Snoop Dogg went to the high school across from my elementary school. That's the kind of people, the Bloods and the Crips, the gang-infested kind of drug culture that I was teaching their children and hoping to pull those struggling kids out of that so they had better alternatives. Right. I'd like to work more on school safety issues, and I do have a lot of background on that. I was a disaster service worker volunteer for the sheriff's department. And school safety is a big deal. We have a good program here in Prescott, but it can be better. We need to make things better. And that's what I'm hoping. Our kids deserve better. Our community deserves better. And we need to get the administration to take off those rose-colored glasses and admit that they need some help. And we can do that.
Absolutely. Is there anything specifically that you want to talk about the PUSD that needs correction that you want to bring to the board?
Well, I was a reading specialist. I know curriculum. I know reading specialty type things that I would like to bring in. I would like to look over the curriculum. I've asked a number of times and tried to go over everything, but they keep it kind of hidden. They don't have a open forum for teachers or the public to be able to do that unless it's new adoption. I did go through the Amplify curriculum, and that is full of a lot of social justice issues and activism kind of lessons, and I wasn't happy with it, but they chose it anyway. So
okay, now you're running along with Annie Nelson and Michelle Hamer.
We're running as support of each other. Yes.
Yeah, you're kind of a group thing.
Yes.
And so is that because you're friends? You have the same ideas? Is that
our
why you're doing that?
values are very basic, but basically the same. But we each have our own specialty. Andy is he brings in the community and the parents, and that's something I really think that we need in our public schools. Michelle brings in the business aspect where we can run the board like an education business. I bring in the educator, teacher support type element. So I think makes a dream team. Kara's a teacher. She brings that in.
Carl
I
Wood.
don't know, yes, Carl Woods. I don't know what Andy Farrar is his background. I don't see a lot of educators being on the board when Deb Dillon and Connie Donovan leave. I know Sarah has her degree in education, but she's never been in the classroom.
Yeah, right.
And she's a very nice person. I keep saying that because she is. But she needs more experience and not just agreeing with everything that's been going on that is needing to change for the better, I'm hoping.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that is a good team. Dream team is a good way to put it. And I sure hope that all three of you get on the board. I would love to see that. And I'm voting for you guys too. So would just look into the camera and let us know how people can contact you and find out more about you.
You can find out about my whole platform by just going to lindaconn.com. And there's even a donation button there. That never hurts. These things are expensive. So vote for me.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being my guest today on Prescott Talks here at Prescott E-News. This has been your host, David McNabb. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you back again next time. Take care now.